Disney. Patsy C new video. Let's go.
Disney is no longer the magical, wonder-filled universe that it was when we were growing up. Not only have they been making uninspiring, lackluster new films.
Yo, take it from somebody that worked at a movie theater. They are doing really shit. Like right now. Like I think they lost like $3 billion last year off their movies and shows. And I think they're probably gonna lose more this year.
But they have been going back and changing old stories, altering.
Yo, this story is crazy. I saw about what she. Yo, this girl's yeah. Hey man, she seems like a good actress, but like, bro, I don't know what the fuck she's doing, bro. Like, you're playing like one of the most iconic like female roles in history, and you trying to like jeopardize it. You want the hate, you want the smoke. Like, you got balls for that. I give you it.
Creations. To make things even worse, they buy out competitive film studios who are actually making masterpieces and drag them into the mud.
That is true.
People have had enough with Disney's boring and bleak vision for the future. They are losing hundreds of millions of dollars, bombing at the box office with record.
I'm not finna lie, it could be because of woke culture, but I don't know for sure. I mean, fuck. Sorry. It could be because of woke culture. It probably is, honestly, but we'll have to see.
Low sales, stock prices dropping to the lowest in
Damn!
decades, and while you think this may
look at this shit, bro. This shit was up here in like, what was that, 2021? Was that because of Spider-Man and Avatar 2? I think so. I just assume.
It is only going to get worse.
That's facts.
Disney is
my boy Mickey
attention to their
and Minnie
is much deeper and darker than you could ever imagine. You are not just blinded by nostalgia. Disney was actually at its peak from 1989 to 1999.
All those classics, bro.
The Disney Renaissance, where some of their best movies were created. The Little Mermaid,
Beauty
and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Pocahontas, Hercules, Mulan, Tarzan. These 8
all of those are at least 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s.
Classics all received an overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, the only one that I'm a little about is Hercules. That's the only one that I wasn't. I didn't love it, but I just thought it was alright.
The film generated hundreds of millions of dollars in the
all the rest of them are amazing.
The Lion King earned the most at nearly $1 billion.
And it deserved.
57th most successful film of all time. These films were so successful that even their soundtracks were selling millions of copies. The Little Mermaid 6 times platinum. Beauty and the Beast 3 times platinum. Aladdin 3 times platinum.
I can show you the world.
Lion King reached diamond status.
Wait, Elton John made the fucking thing? Wow.
The 90s. Toy Story.
Hey.
And that's because Disney did not actually create this film.
Yo, let's be real. Rank the Toy Story. You gotta put 1 or 3 at first, and then 2 is somewhere there, and then 4's gotta be bottom. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't fuck with 4.
Pixar was just an
I like the ending, but I didn't fuck with 4. And they're making a 5th one.
Step towards their ultimate goal of making an animated feature film. The studio made shorts to test their RenderMan software and produce animation challenges for the team. Tin Toy successfully garnered attention from Disney, who wanted to expand the idea.
The hell is that?
From the perspective of a toy. They developed a relationship where Disney.
Alright, hell no. Dude, imagine Woody looked like this. What the fuck is up with his head?
Disney agreed to distribute 3 films for Pixar, as well as provide.
His head looks like a fruit, like a vegetable.
Tom Hanks and Tim Allen as lead roles, but Pixar had never written a movie. Luckily, their co-founder John Lasseter had previously been an employee of Disney and worked on The Fox and the Hound, so John was happy with writing Pixar's first film. He spent nearly 2 years working on the first version of Toy Story that depicted Woody as a cynical jerk.
Who said your job was to think, Spring Wiener?
I just...
Whoa! Wow!
Power to consider this for a moment. If it wasn't for me, Andy wouldn't pay any attention to you at all. In fact, my stretchy friend, you would have been hauled away to Goodwill a long time ago. So shut your mouth and get.
Oh hell no! He said my boy. Oh no! He said he was going to Goodwill. Oh man, I'm happy they didn't go with this.
Disney executives hated it.
I would have hated it too.
Mean-spirited and would send the wrong message to children.
Bro, said it belonged in Goodwill.
John was embarrassed and begged for another chance. Disney gave him 2 weeks to develop another version. The second iteration of the film depicted a perspective of toys who desperately want to be played with because they love and care about their owners deeply. Disney greenlit the film, and luckily it paid off. In 1995, Toy Story released $373 million worldwide, becoming the second highest grossing film of 1995, the first ever full-length computer-generated film, and a classic that shaped the childhoods of millions. Pixar and Disney followed that up with A Bug's Life and Toy Story 2, adding to the catalog of amazing films.
I haven't seen The Bug's Life in a while.
Animated films that made Disney
I think I saw it like once or twice.
Renaissance. You also had The Mighty Ducks, Cool Runnings,
Oh.
Angels in the Outfield, The Jungle Book,
Ooh.
Hocus Pocus, The Parent Trap.
Okay.
Blades. Let me know some of your favorites. It's also important to understand
I
that
like The
during
Jungle Book.
90s, Disney also owned two major production studios, Touchstone and Hollywood Pictures. Touchstone produced Armageddon, Pretty Woman, Dead Poets Society, Sister Act, while Hollywood Pictures produced Tombstone, The Sixth Sense, and a bunch of others I don't personally recognize.
Judge Dredd.
Disney absolutely dominated the 90s. They created iconic moments of magic.
Hey,
that taught us
Goofy.
valuable lessons. They taught us right and wrong. Never pretend to be something you are not. Listen to your parents. Love and cherish your family. Lessons that would make us well-rounded human beings.
Damn, look at that beard.
However, they did get their fair share of criticism back then as well. The Hunchback of Notre Dame explores themes such as lust, obsession, and religious hypocrisy, which are more mature and intense than typical Disney fare. The character of Esmeralda was critiqued for her sexualized design, objectifying and misrepresenting her character. The 1989 VHS cover of The Little Mermaid was banned and later changed when people noticed it contained phallic imagery.
Oh, hell no, bro. Yeah, okay. That's some shit that people will find out now. That is so, that's so random.
On Disney films in the 90s, which has caused people to go back in the past and become critical of what they thought were great films. And before we absolutely dismantle your favorite childhood films, Hollywood as a whole was criticized for perpetuating negative stereotypes and presenting a distorted and one-dimensional view of the Arab world.
Wait, what?
They also thought that the casting of white actor Robin Williams to voice
Alright, but hold up a second. But Robin Williams is a GOAT. Rest in peace, a legend. Like,
being living in a lamp was considered whitewashing since the character had cultural connotations associated with the Middle East. Disney also went back and changed controversial lyrics in the song Arabian Nights. A joke from the bloopers reel in Toy Story 2 raised so much controversy in 2019 that Disney decided to remove it.
You know, I'm sure I could get you a part in Toy Story 3. I'm sorry, are we back? Oh, all right.
oh hell.
Lovely talking with you.
Considering the sexual misconduct allegations against Disney executives, this joke didn't
shit.
age well. Pocahontas
Yeah, it
was
definitely
accused of
didn't.
appropriating and commodifying Native American culture for profit without showing proper respect or understanding of the cultures and traditions they were depicting, while also being too historically inaccurate. They also depicted a relationship that falsely represented how natives felt about European settlers. Their song Savages is a war song in the film with some questionable lyrics. Their whole disgusting race is like a curse. Their skin's a hellish red. They're only good when dead. They're different sauce, which means they must be evil.
Some Playboy Cardi lyrics right there.
However, defenders simply say that this is an accurate way to depict how horrifying and absurd their mindset was.
Oh.
Disney did go back and change some of the lyrics.
I was about to say, they definitely did.
Race is like a curse to here's what you get when the races are diverse. However, there is no argument that the Renaissance era was Disney's peak, and the only reason they survived throughout the 2000s was because of their ability to buy the companies that were actually making great art.
Okay.
Is often described as Disney's
Lilo and Stitch.
because the company started trying different
Dinosaur. I remember that one.
The Disney Channel was their venture into daytime television and was the last original creation before they kind of gave up. Even Stevens and Lizzie McGuire were their first big successes in the live-action sector, which led to huge hits like That's So Raven, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody,
Hey,
Montana,
I fucking love the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. That's my shit.
Problems as tweens into reality. They depicted fun adventures while also tackling real problems like how to talk to your first crush, how to combat bullies, going through puberty, among other growing pains. Every single one of their successful TV shows were turned into movies, which speaks to their experimental nature. But they also produced original TV movies like Smart House, Cadet Kelly, the Halloween Town series, and of course, High School Musical.
I was gonna say they have to.
During this era, it's hard to describe.
Yeah, bro. Listen, bro. I remember High School Musical so much.
Kids in the 50s through
Especially the
70s
first one, the third one.
cartoons on Saturday
I don't remember the second one that
mornings.
much.
Kids watched before school. and
Hercules.
after
No,
school.
Hercules. It's fucking He-Man. I'm a moron. I'm sorry.
Early 2000s kids grew up with multiple TVs in the house. If parents wanted to control the television, they likely had a playroom TV or bedroom TV where they could watch whatever they want. They had DVRs, playback software,
I remember this.
reruns, and even multiple channels that aired the same shows. Disney Channel shows were averaging anywhere from 4 to 10 million viewers on the premieres alone. Hannah Montana and the Cheetah Girls became international superstars, doing stadium tours with 10,000 plus people singing songs that were based on a Disney Channel TV show. And while their live-action TV thrived, their animated TV shows were much weaker than competitors Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. But they still had some solid new additions with The Proud Family, Kim Possible, and
Phineas and Ferb
got their own TV movies. But if it wasn't for Pixar, Disney...
This was a good one. This is a classic right here.
Tanked. They started the 2000s with The Emperor's New Groove, which fans loved, but it failed to meet the financial success of the Renaissance-era films, only profiting about $70 million, which isn't enough for Disney. From here, hand-drawn animation was being considered obsolete, and Disney had not been working on computer-generated animation. To make things worse, there was new competition on the horizon.
Uh-oh.
Disney created a competitor to Pixar and DreamWorks called Secret Lab, but the films they produced failed to meet expectations. Dinosaur was their 2000 film that featured CGI prehistoric creatures.
I remember this one.
Just all right. Not impressive enough for their CGI debut. It secured over $300 million in the box office, but they expected more. Secret Lab closed down after one failure. Pixar exploded again with Monsters Inc., and DreamWorks came out of the gates hot
Chicken
with
Run.
And Shrek. Shrek 2
Ooh.
secured $900 million in the box office.
All right, bro, that's
Disney
Shrek.
was trembling. The Lilo and Stitch movie was the last original bona fide hit Disney had since the 90s, grossing
Wow,
$270
really?
million, but it still didn't even come close to Pixar. Finding Nemo grossed nearly $1 billion
Hey,
worldwide.
I always love Finding Nemo and The Incredibles.
$500 million, but it wasn't
And
even just
Monsters,
the money.
Inc.
Disney's animation was outdated, and their storylines were almost exactly the same from 1989 now into the 2000s. They knew they could not compete with the creativity of Pixar or DreamWorks, so CEO Bob Iger decided to acquire Pixar in 2006 for $7.4 billion.
Oh, damn.
The movie after 2006 by Pixar could technically be considered a Disney movie, but John Lasseter at Pixar was not going to let them ruin his films. He demanded that Disney executives have little power over the creative direction of Pixar films.
Oh.
And since Disney needed Pixar, they obliged. And so
Yeah, I was about to say, you better get hands and knees and praise him.
Wall-E, Up, Pixar, saved.
Yo, they were clutching up, dude. God damn.
Disney.
Look at all those hits they had. Up, bro. Cars. Yeah, Ratatouille. I don't remember Ratatouille that much. Cars and fucking Up. Great movies, dude.
But only for a little bit.
Putting some Steph Curry numbers right there.
Struggling to find big success in live-action films. There was really only 2 films that carried this era.
Hey, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I love Pirates of the Caribbean. Not all the movies, but the first 3 I liked.
$1 series over the next 2 decades, and Chronicles of Narnia, which also grossed.
I never seen these ones.
Worldwide, even though that was technically a spin-off from a book series written in the 50s. Other than that, we got some cult classics like The Princess Diaries, Freaky Friday, Bridge to Terabithia, and Remember the Titans.
Remember the
However,
Titans.
As we went into the 2010s, Disney Channel ratings started to dwindle. The only show still gaining viewership was Wizards of Waverly Place. By that point, kids like me were in high school and moving on from Disney. It seemed like every sector of their business was facing imminent disaster as we passed 2010. Their TV cartoons weren't as good as Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network. Their animated films weren't as good as Pixar and DreamWorks. Their live-action TV shows were losing steam, and honestly, they never really had booming success with live-action films aside from a few. So instead of buckling down, figuring out where they are going wrong, figuring out how to create wonderful, imaginative universes like they did in the 90s and for nearly 100 years before, they took the easy way out and just bought out companies who were actually making great art. Disney actually has a long history of buying companies that...
Hey, that OG Iron Man's top 5 MCU. I don't give a fuck what anyone says.
They purchased the Mighty Ducks hockey team and the California Angels baseball team. Why? Because they wanted to make a hockey movie and a baseball movie.
Oh.
And they weren't just going to waste an opportunity to create a money-making professional sports empire.
I was like, wait, what?
They failed, but the movies were pretty good. Then in 1996, they purchased ESPN as a whole when they
I remember that.
ABC Inc. And to save you a bunch of time, this is every every single company.
God damn!
Real estate companies, theme parks, merchandising, Vice, National Geographic, Hulu, and even GoPro.
Oh,
Disney
shit.
has their white gloves in just about every business.
White gloves, they got every glove. They might as well buy them.
Cinematic masterpieces to last decades. With the help of Bob Iger, they became focused on one thing and one thing only: profit. And in the start of the 2010s, they did pretty dang good after they purchased Marvel Entertainment for $4.4 billion. Many people thought Disney acquiring Marvel would remove some of the edge these Marvel characters had. Just like John Lasseter made sure Disney didn't ruin Pixar, Marvel's president Kevin Feige was going to continue to control the creative direction for future films.
And so he did.
The iconic Marvel movies in the early 2000s: Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Fantastic Four. Marvel was on fire, and Disney's newfound...
I don't know about Fantastic Four, but yeah.
Beginning, Feige had a vision for the Marvel Cinematic Universe that no one had attempted before on the big screen. His plan was to make an interconnected universe.
All right, before he keeps going, imagine thinking about at that point, you're in 2008 and you're on the first Iron Man movie and you just think about what's going to happen 10 years from now. And in 10 years, there was 2 Avengers films and yeah, my boy Iron Man.
Of films all building to one finale: Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America.
Yep, I remember seeing all those in theaters, and this.
Worldwide, which made it the
I still remember it. I was like 8 years old, 7.
Iron Man 3, Thor,
I remember that. That one especially. This one. Yo, I didn't see Ant-Man in theaters. I was kind of upset about that because it's a good film. It's not great, but it's good. But dude, Guardians of the Galaxy threw me off. I didn't know jack shit about the characters. I only saw like a few of them in like a video game before. I think it was like a Lego Marvel video game. I just saw the characters and I was just like, oh, little guy, you know, there's a fucking raccoon, but you know, whatever. But bro, there's some, yo, James Gunn did wonders with them.
2 huge feature films per year, and each time it was a cultural event.
Yes.
All the way up through 2019, they were breaking records left and right. Deadpool, Thor Ragnarok, Deadpool 2, Venom, all were massive. Then Black Panther.
That was very massive.
Film directed by a black filmmaker, grossing over $1.3 billion.
I like Black Panther too. I thought it was good.
Celebrated black culture in a groundbreaking way.
I know, I like what they did there.
Through the fictional nation of Wakanda that was rich, advanced, and uncolonized. The film showcased a specific, beautiful black aesthetic, from Afrocentric natural hair to carefully designed costumes drawing from...
Damn, rest in peace Chadwick, bro.
This attention to detail reflected the diversity of black culture.
Yo, I always loved him in this suit, bro, because he looks so much like more intimidating in it than like the suit that just comes from his necklace. Like, I always prefer this one because this one makes him look like big as fuck. Like, I wouldn't fuck with him like that.
Dominance are Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Infinity War grossed $2 billion at the box office, making it the highest grossing...
This is such a dope ass poster, by the way.
...hero film of all
I'm gonna buy that.
Only to be beaten by Endgame the next year.
This poster's fire too. I fuck with it.
Worldwide. Many people believe these 2 movies are in the top 10 best superhero...
I like Infinity Wars more though, I can't lie.
I believe this to be the end of Marvel's dominance. After all, it was Kevin Feige's vision to build all these stories throughout the years until they came together in Endgame. Pixar continued to steamroll ahead in the 2010s. Toy Story 3 became the highest grossing animated film of all time. Brave, which was a new story that became a massive hit, earning $500 million.
I never saw this one.
Monsters University...
This one I saw. I like Monsters University. This is good.
$150 million. Finding Dory was another $1 billion
this is
success. If you look at Pixar's catalog from 1995,
Incredibles 2.
They had one flop, one of the most impressive runs in history. Disney was in total domination at the start of the 2010s. Yeah, they were being carried by their acquisitions, but they made a short comeback from their own animation studio. Wreck-It Ralph in 2012 was a very Pixar-inspired film about the lives of video game characters.
I like Wreck-It Ralph.
Arcade machines. Earning a solid $500 million at the box office got the momentum building for what was about to come. Frozen, the highest...
Oh my god.
...film of all time.
Bro, this shit, oh my god, the amount of hype this movie fucking had, Jesus Christ.
Now Toy Story 3.
That shit was insane.
$8 billion. But the success of Frozen was more than just money. Disney was able to recreate the magic and cultural dominance they had in the 90s. An original princess movie with addicting music. Valuable lessons like learning to be brave, take risks, communicate your conflicts, and always love your friends and family. It just felt right to see my little sister have an iconic Disney film to grow up with. Then they followed up with Big Hero 6 and
These two
Moana,
are good
both
too. I fuck with these.
the new Pixar-inspired Disney catalog. They also took a big step progressively. In 2014, on an
Ooh,
episode
good look,
of
Charlie.
Disney displayed a same-sex couple for the first time.
Taylor has 2 moms.
Something that would become
Man, that's
part of
Jack.
all of their films years later. Their live-action films Cinderella and The Jungle Book were also huge hits. Beauty and the Beast earned over $1 billion. In the 2010s, everything was booming again. Disney just could not miss. In 2012, they purchased Lucasfilm, the creators of Star Wars, for $4 billion. Although this acquisition financially would be fruitful for Disney, there are a lot of mixed opinions regarding the execution of these films. Their first release with Lucasfilm was in 2015, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which as it sits, is the 11th highest grossing film of all time adjusted for inflation, earning $2 billion. A huge success, but it didn't actually continue the Star Wars story that was developed for the past 40 years.
Yeah.
It's like they changed everything the fans knew and loved about their characters and wrote a new story. Visually, it was stunning, and people who were new to the franchise adored it, but longtime fans were disappointed, hoping the second film would be better. Rogue One in 2016 took a bit of a
This is a good one.
lesser known, or at the time not A-list actors, Felicity Jones and Diego Luna. Disney executives were supposedly not fully satisfied with the first cut, and will bring in writer and director Tony Gilroy to help with the movie. With his help streamlining it all, reconceptualizing the story, reshooting scenes and editing, with the iconic Darth Vader fight scene right at the end of filming, the movie would be a huge hit. It was the last
Thank God they had it.
and beloved Star Wars movie, despite having a $1 billion decrease in revenue from the previous one. Star
Yeah,
Wars
but bro, it
is
was a really good movie.
Classic that is always going to bring in revenue due to it being the most popular film franchise of all time. Using revenue alone is not an accurate representation of how the community felt about these films, and there are people who dedicate their entire lives diving into the insane complexity that is this cinematic universe that George Lucas created. So to sit here and describe where every film went wrong would take forever. There is some crucial information to understand why Disney tainted the Star Wars legacy. Disney CEO Bob Iger wrote in his 2019 memoir that George
I remember
Lucas
hearing
wrote
about this.
outlines for a Star Wars trilogy.
Yes.
Bob said we needed to buy them, though we made it clear in the purchase agreement that we would not be contractually obligated.
I know. Yo, I did hear what George Lucas was gonna write about. It was actually a pretty good story, like to continue Star Wars. I think it was like Luke had a apprentice who was basically Rey, and they were going to like do something with the midichlorians or some shit. I don't know. It was something like that, but it sounded like a cool story. It probably would have been better than what we got. So
the plot lines he had laid out. Instead, Disney gave creative control to director J.J. Abrams, screenwriter Michael Arndt, and Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. From the very beginning, George Lucas saw them ruining his vision for the trilogy. He felt betrayed. Disney loved his ideas and bought him out only to change everything they loved. Instead of them coming up with their own cohesive story, they let multiple directors take the leads for different films. Rian Johnson for The Last Jedi and J.J. Abrams for The Rise of Skywalker. Critics say
I don't blame him for The Rise of Skywalker, but because The Last Jedi was so bad.
And just because it's unpredictable doesn't mean it's good. The film's decisions regarding character arcs, plot twists, and the identity of certain characters felt totally random.
They ruined my boy.
Going against the man who created this franchise obviously pissed off longtime fans, and although each movie brought in serious profits, they felt like Disney took advantage of George Lucas and the massive Star Wars community. Financially speaking, throughout the 2010s, Disney reigned supreme, with almost no dents in their armor, but the only way to go from here was down, starting with Pixar, the studio that saved them 20 years earlier. John Lasseter, Pixar and Walt Disney Animation Studios' chief creative officer, took a leave of absence in 2017 after revelations last year that he sexually harassed multiple employees during his tenure. At Pixar, John was known for grabbing, kissing, making comments about physical attributes. John responded with, "I've recently had a number of difficult conversations that have been very painful for me. It's never easy to face your missteps, but it's the only way to learn from them." Lasseter made himself the victim, hoping to gain sympathy of those who oppose this sudden Me Too movement. Disney didn't fire him until he finished the projects that he was working on. He stayed there for another year to finish Incredibles 2 and Toy Story 4. Both were massive commercial and critical successes. Although John was exposed for being a relentless creep, deserving of his termination, there is no doubt that he was the creative genius at Pixar. After he left, Pixar died. Onward was a box office flop and received controversy for this clip.
It's not easy being a new parent. My girlfriend's daughter got me pulling my hair out, okay?
The officer mentions her girlfriend's daughter, obviously
She has
stating
one
that she
eye.
was a lesbian. Most people didn't even notice this quick line. In fact, the LGBTQ community was pretty happy about it. However, this short scene got the film banned in multiple Middle Eastern countries. From there, Soul was a flop.
Hold on, moron. I'll be back in like 5 minutes. Not even like 10.
Luca was a flop. Turning Red managed to barely make a profit, but when you consider marketing expenses, it's still a flop. Pixar was spending $100 to $200 million per film to make these detailed, beautiful universes, but lacked any decent storytelling to keep you engaged.
What the hell?
Lightyear was the unforeseen spin-off of Toy Story's
Yo, that film did
In
shit.
this one, Pixar took their inclusion to new heights when they displayed a same-sex couple kissing. Conservatives claimed Lightyear was an attempt by Disney to indoctrinate children and shape their beliefs. Social media saw a firestorm of different opinions online, and the movie failed in the box office. But not just because of controversy. It's because they depicted Buzz as more of a human than the toy we all know and love. It was voiced by not Tim Allen, and it's an origin story that nobody really needed in the first place.
Yeah.
It's hard to say what exactly went wrong at Pixar
That's true.
in the past few years. It can't simply be Lasseter's exit because he was hired by Skydance Animations and their first movie, Luck, was a commercial and critical failure. Pixar has never had so many failures commercially and critically in their entire history. They are on life support and don't know how to save themselves. The next sector of Disney's business to go was their own animation studio. Instead of taking risks on new storylines, they continued pushing what was working. Ralph Breaks the Internet was a solid sequel that was loved by fans and critics, also turned a decent profit. Frozen 2 was bound to be a smash hit and ended up being bigger than they probably imagined, $1.4 billion in the box office.
Damn.
The second highest grossing animated film of all time.
Damn.
Hopefully this was enough profit to handle all the loss they were about to take in the 2020s.
Yeah.
Raya and the Last Dragon, flop. Encanto had an okay box office performance, but got more popular once it was added to the
Yeah, I
Disney
remember
streaming
that.
service.
We don't
Dreamworld
talk
was a
about
massive box
Bruno.
office failure and had yet another LGBTQ controversy. The main character, Ethan Clade, is an openly gay teenager whose crush is the male character Diazo. This is the first Disney film with an openly gay lead character. Teachers in Florida were being investigated for showing this film to their students. Opposers think that Disney Animations is failing because they choose not to write an interesting and meaningful storyline, but rather focus on pushing an agenda to children. However, the LGBTQ community feels like they're finally getting deserved representation in films. But Disney made their stance towards the LGBTQ community very clear in March of 2022, when Florida legislator passed HB 1557, otherwise known as the Don't Say Gay Bill. This bill prohibits instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade. The bill is framed around the fundamental rights of parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their
Thank you for
children.
explaining that.
Since Disney World is located in Florida, they were pressured to take a stance. They issued a statement. Florida's HB 1557 should have never been passed and should never have been signed into law. Our goal as a company is for this law to be repealed by the legislator or struck down in the courts, and we remain committed to supporting the national and state organizations working to achieve that. Disney did not attempt to block this law while it was in process, and as far as we know, have not made any progress towards getting it changed. Walt Disney Studios was able to offset some of the losses from their 2 animation studios.
Look at the water thing.
From 2015, Disney has been on a remake tirade.
Yeah.
Cinderella, The Jungle Book, Alice Through the Looking Glass, Beauty and the Beast, Dumbo, Aladdin, Lady and the Tramp. All of these were very safe and solid box office successes, but the biggest was none other than
Oh my god.
earning $1.6 billion, making it the highest grossing animated film of all time. However, these safe remakes would come to a screeching halt. Mulan, Cruella, Pinocchio, Peter Pan all failed to make substantial revenue. Now, this could be due to the pandemic shutting down theaters and people being scared to go out in public, but it's more likely that Disney fans are just exhausted from the oversaturation of old stories. So they threw a curveball at a classic. The Little Mermaid 2023 was a live-action remake that casted Halle Bailey as Ariel. This movie
Halle Bailey. Hallelujah.
Depicted Ariel as a white woman, whereas Halle is African American. Disney has been accused of whitewashing their characters for years, but we don't often see them totally change the race of one of their main characters. Critics accuse Disney of blatantly pandering, trying to change something that was a non-issue in the first place. However, defenders pointed out that mermaids don't have a race because because they are not real, and Disney has had very few black lead characters over the years. Some people in the middle thought that the lead
Yeah, but I fuck with Princess and the Frog.
specifically because her hair is orange and not red. Normally, these controversies lead to failure, but fans and critics seem to like this movie, and it made a nice profit. However, their upcoming Snow White remake has easily received the most controversy out of them all, and it hasn't even come out yet.
I know, bro. We still got a year.
Rachel Zegler, a Colombian American set to play the role of Snow White. This specific princess is known for having pale white skin and dark hair, but Rachel's skin color is not why people are angry. It's her constant reminders that she hates the original story.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
I don't know about that. I don't remember him stalking her.
85 years ago.
That's the thing.
Therefore, it's extremely dated when it comes to the idea of women being in roles of power. I just mean that it's no.
Man, Gal Gadot is so tall.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
Even people who are extremely for Disney reshaping and modifying their classics to fit a modern society think Rachel is annoying, entitled, and disrespectful. And on top of that, she doesn't think she's being paid enough.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
She's like everything people hate about this generation distilled into a single person. There have been rumors that Disney plans on axing this film due to the controversy. If that becomes true, it will forever change the way they cast their lead characters. If they don't axe the film, it sends the message to future leads that you can disrespect the legacy of Disney, insert your unwanted opinions, all while elevating your fame and getting paid millions of dollars. Marvel has not been able to escape this downfall either. Aside from Spider-Man and Black Panther, who were certified billion-dollar hits, their rollout of
Black Panther Wakanda made a bill?
Mutants, The Kingsman, Morbius, Eternals, which was their first openly gay superhero, all bombed at the box office. This is especially bad when you consider these movies have $200 million budgets. Their new TV series, She-Hulk, WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, and Secret Invasion are not drawing much excitement from fans either.
But WandaVision had excitement.
These TV episodes are costing upwards of $25 million to make. In an effort,
I like WandaVision.
They aren't shrinking
That's
budgets to make better stories. They're just laying off hardworking people. Bob Iger announced his plan to reduce costs by $5.5 billion, which included reducing the workforce by 7,000 employees.
Damn!
One of these employees was Marvel executive Ike Perlmutter, who was the man who sold Marvel to Disney 15 years ago. Disney has bought extremely valuable IP from culturally significant
Holy
studios,
shit.
every dollar they could out of them, and reshaped the narratives to tell a more modern and socially acceptable story. But they are now in panic mode. It's not working anymore. They have lost $900 million in their last 8 releases, and just a week ago their stock price hit a 9-year low when it fell below $84 in 2023.
Damn!
So going woke is clearly pissing off fans and dragging their financials into the mud. Why are they doing it? Is it because they genuinely care about inclusion and making people of all kinds feel comfortable and happy? Well,
2024 got to be a switch up.
Index, you might think differently as to why companies are all of a sudden being so forward with their political ideologies. For the 16th year in a row, Disney received a score
Yeah, it's a long ass video.
Human Rights Campaign Foundation's Corporate Equality Index. The CEI score is administered by the Human Rights Campaign, the largest LGBTQ political lobbying organization in the US. This score is given to companies that meet certain criteria such as workforce protections, inclusive benefits, supporting an inclusive culture, and the big one being corporate social responsibility. CSR is the one we will notice the most because of the rules that must be followed to earn a full score in this area. Marketing or advertising in LGBTQ consumers, advertising with LGBTQ+ content, advertising in LGBTQ media or sponsoring LGBTQ organizations and events, and demonstrated public support for LGBTQ+ equality under the law through local, state, and federal legislation or initiatives. Companies are rewarded with essentially a social credit score based on how inclusive they are. Investors often consider a company's CEI score as an indicator of potential future backlash over human rights violations or other controversies. A high CEI score can reassure investors that the company is a relatively safe bet. If you do not comply with the HRC's guidelines and receive a low CEI score, then investment firms firms that control trillions of dollars, such as BlackRock, will actively avoid investing in your company. This situation becomes particularly concerning when viewed through the lens of potential blackmail. If a company fails to meet HRC's criteria, the HRC can exert pressure on investors.
Oh,
These
shit.
investors, in turn, can influence the company's board, creating a chain of external pressures. If they learn that a company is not complying with the HRC's LGBTQ criteria, they have the power to contact advertising agencies and encourage them to no longer do business with these companies. This could result in a significant loss of income for a non-compliant company.
So they kind of have to go woke then, right?
Companies that do adhere to the CEI criteria may also be penalized if they engage in business with companies that do not. In some cases, even the companies that are making an effort to meet the CEI standards could see their scores negatively affected. Very powerful billionaires are very much against conservative values. Strong family bonds, frugality, and modesty contradict the consumerist mindset. By influencing a younger generation to distance themselves from these traditional values, these cutthroat businessmen aim to shape a future consumer base that generates more profits than ever before. However, not every company is successful in trying to achieve a higher score. For instance, companies like Bud Light have faced controversies that led to significant financial losses.
I don't even like Bud Light.
Is that you'll never know the difference between an actually progressive, inclusive company and one that's just trying to get a higher score to look good for investors. You have to ask yourself, is Disney trying to make your life easier, safer, and happier? Or are they just trying to prevent investors from getting scared and pulling out? The truth
That is what she said.
always faced backlash, and they always will. You can type in literally any Disney film, the word controversy after it, and you will find an article of someone pinpointing a small detail accusing them of being racist, whitewashing, too gay.
The hell?
Enough, there will always be someone angry. After dragging 3 iconic studios into the dirt and squeezing out every last
Such a
thing they
shame.
can, it seems like the one thing they haven't tried in 2 decades is use their endless amount of dollars and connections to build a super team and write a good story.
Hey man, I don't know what Disney's gonna do. They better get this shit together because they're probably gonna lose even more money this year than they did last year. So hopefully next year, you know, they can wake up, get some good movies out there. I know Deadpool 3 is coming out, but that's like, I guess it's a Disney movie, but at the same time, most people are seeing it because it's, you know, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine. It's kind of, you know, so I think people are seeing it for that. But y'all let me know what you thought. Sub to Patsy C, and of course sub to me. Take care.
So said it was over for me.